Hello everybody, this is part 2 of my Japanese verb conjugation videos. In my last video, I talked about Ichidan verbs, which are verbs that end in eru and iru. Well, there's another type known as Godan verbs. Godan verbs pretty much end in everything else, so here's some examples. Aruku, oyogu, hanasu, matsu, nomu, shinu, naru, utau. As you could see, they all end in U, which is kind of important because every verb in Japanese will end in U when it's like to something, the infinitive form. So let's try conjugating one. They're not that hard, trust me. Remember, this is the non-past formal tense. Non-past meaning it's both the present and future tense in English. So let's do aruku, to walk. First, all you're going to do is drop the U ending to get aruk, and then you just add imasu, arukimasu. That's it. That's all you have to do. But if you want to get a little technical about things, this is what you're really doing here. If you look at the hiragana table, at the K row, I guess, it goes ka, ki, ku, ke, ko. Well, you're changing the ku ending to ki. That's called taking the E form. Yeah. But if you just want to know that you can drop the U and add imasu, that's totally fine. So let's look at another one. Oyongu, to swim. You just drop the U to get oyog, and then add imasu, oyogimasu. And then with the technicality again, if you look at the G section of the hiragana, it goes ga, gi, gu, ge, go. So you just switch the gu to gi, and there you go. Why I've been telling you all this technical stuff will come in handy now with hanasu, to speak or to talk. You're going to drop the U to get hanas, and then instead of just adding imasu, you're going to actually change it a little bit to hanashimasu. That's the correct ending. But why is it shi and not si? Well, if you look at the S row of the hiragana table, it goes sa, shi, su, se, so. Not si. So you're changing the su to the shi, because that happens to be the E form of it. Japanese just does that, I don't know why. Okay, so let's look at another one. This one's a little weird. Matsu, to wait. Matsu ends in TSU. So what you're going to do is you're just going to drop that TSU, and you look at the hiragana table, at the T's, it goes ta, chi, tsu, te, to. So you're changing the tsu ending to chi, because it happens to be the E form of it. So the correct conjugation is actually machimasu. That one's a little bit different. So those are really the two to remember, is ones that end in su and ones that end in tsu, because they are a little bit different, but all the other ones are okay. And for negatives, all you have to do is change the imasu to imasen. So like arukimasen, oyogimasen, hanashimasen, machimasen, etc. So let's look at examples. 彼はコーヒーを飲みません. It can mean either he doesn't drink coffee or he won't drink coffee, because it's the non-past tense, which is both the present and future in English. Again, you can notice that nomimasen goes at the end of the sentence, whereas in English it goes in the middle of the sentence. I'm planning on making a video on Japanese sentence structure soon, so we'll learn more about that soon. Here's another example. 彼もフランス語を話します. He also speaks French, or he will also speak French. Same kind of deal. Okay, you're gonna hate me for this one. Irregular verbs. Luckily, there are only 2 real irregular verbs in the whole Japanese language. That is awesome. Okay? They are kuru and suru. The only reason that they're irregular is because they have irregular stems. So if you want to conjugate them into the non-past formal tense like we're doing now, it would actually be kuru would change to kimasu, and suru would change to shimasu. They're just a little bit irregular and they're not that bad. Do you remember in my last video on Ichidan verbs, I said there are some exceptions? Well, some verbs look like they're Ichidan verbs, which they mean they end in eru or iru, but actually conjugate as Godan verbs. There's no real way to tell other than memorization, so sorry. So let's look at one of them that does this. This is shiru, to know. So since you're conjugating it like a Godan verb, you're dropping the u and adding imasu. So it would actually be shirimasu. Another one, kaeru, to return. Drop the u, get kae, and then add imasu, so kaerimasu. Here's kind of a strange example for you. Kiru and kiru. They sound exactly the same. They have different characters for writing them, but just hearing them you would think they're the same thing. But kiru, to cut, is a Godan verb, whereas kiru, to wear, is an Ichidan verb. So they might sound the same now, but they're going to conjugate a little bit differently. So let's start with the Ichidan one, because that one's the easier one. Kiru, to wear. You just drop the ru, arimasu, kimasu. You're good. And then kiru, to cut, which is a Godan verb. Drop the u, arimasu, kirimasu. There you go. Very simple. So let's review what I said today. Godan verbs end in everything other than iru and eru, but there are some exceptions where there are verbs that end in those that are actually Godan. To conjugate them, drop the u and add imasu or imasen. You should note that su endings change to shi, and su endings change to chi. There are two irregular verbs in Japanese, kuru and suru. So this concludes my second video. I hope you learned something about the difference between Godan and Ichidan verbs. If you have any questions, feel free to message me. I'll try to answer them the best I can. Okay, so see you later.